Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's talk about medicine. But it's not going to be about general medicine. To be specific, Juntuan and I are going to talk about forensic medicine. First, let me tell you that for today's topic, we might refer to it as forensic medicine. But you have to know that this is a multidisciplinary branch which includes the practice of forensic pathology, forensic psychiatry, forensic dentistry, radiology, and toxicology, of course, all related to forensics. So you have to keep in mind that there are different topics inside the same medical area. Well, to start, all you need to understand is that this is the branch of medicine that deals with the application of medical knowledge to legal problems. Well, have you heard about this topic? Some people think that this is the darker side of medicine because, well, you work with the deceased. But to be honest, there is much more than just covering a body of someone who was just shot dead in the street. Forensics studies something much deeper than you think. First, we have to understand the word forensic. Forensic means related to, used in, or suitable to a court of law. So, forensics is used to describe the work of scientists who examine evidence in order to help the police solve a crime. Have you ever seen in television when a murder happens, some people with white overalls are in there? Well, those are probably from the forensic staff. Well, as I already mentioned, forensic deals with the examination and diagnosis of people who have been injured by or who have died because of external or unnatural causes, such as poisoning, assault, suicide, and different kinds of violence. There's when different topics of forensics come along. Let me give you an example. They have found a dead body completely buried, no ID, no fingerprints, and nothing. Who will help identify it? Well, the forensic team. That means not only a physician, but also police, scientists, among others. They are going to not only investigate the place, but also take the body to a morgue and do hundreds of examinations, from looking for any sign of trauma, doing a toxicology diagnosis, to seeing what's inside the organs of the deceased. Well, to be a forensic physician, you have to complete 5 years of med school at university, then 2 years of internship, and then you have to study to be a resident for 3 years to get to this specialization. Among the topics and areas you have to study during those 3 years, you can find pathologic anatomy, forensic pathology, criminalistics, forensic law, body conservation, thanatology, crime scene investigation, among others. You might spend a lot of your time doing research in hospitals, but also you will spend plenty of time in morgues, police departments, crime scenes, among other places that you didn't even imagine. Something that you have to keep in mind is that this kind of work differs in each country. And during this talk, I am given examples and description on how it worked here in Chile, while Lou might talk about other countries. So here in Chile, if you want to be a forensic physician, you must be a doctor first. However, if you are not, there are other ways to be involved in the forensic area. The only difference is that you might work not directly with the disease, but maybe you might work more in the lab. What I mean is that you might be a medical laboratory technologist, for example, and you can take different courses that are going to start creating a path towards forensics. They might be courses like criminalistics, for example, which can last 6 months, or you can get a master's degree in science, among other ways. Also, if you hear someone works in forensics here in Chile, the first thing that may come to your mind is that they work in the Forensic Medical Institute, and you might immediately think how awful it might be, because, well, it doesn't have a good reputation. But, well, there is one job that you can do there and in any morgue or funeral home that I find extremely interesting. I even wanted to do that years ago, and what I mean is, well, in simple words, to be a makeup artist for the deceased. Its proper name is mortuary makeup, and sadly here in Chile it is not taken seriously, sometimes making a mess with the deceased because someone with no training at all might do that job. Well, you might think that I am absolutely crazy for wanting to do something like that. I know, don't worry. But for me, there is something quite meaningful behind this. I have had bad experiences with this area during family funerals. They have been so disrespectful, so I would really like for it to change. Not only change, actually, but also they should take this topic seriously. I mean, after all, they are working with our loved ones, so it's quite important and meaningful. Sadly, there isn't much that we can do about it now. Anyway, now Duntuan is going to tell you about other topics related to forensics, giving us a view from a different perspective, but also from a different culture. So please keep listening.
Thanks, Rocio, and good morning, everyone. Now I'm going to talk about some medical ethics and the legal provision of human dissection. Anatomy also has a history of legal development. In ancient society, human dissection was forbidden by law and custom, and Galen, the famous physician of ancient Greece, only dissected animals. So, in that society, human fear and confusion about cadavers come from the byproducts of their own bodies. In their view, the body was the model of human perception, and the corpse was the intermediate stage between life and the unknown world. Life and death are eternal topics of human discussion, and the various doctrines that make up religious theologies. As a result, dissection of corpses is considered taboo by popular culture. Until the 14th century, the Western law began to prohibit human dissection, under the subject of the official permission. Some universities in Italy, England, and France had 1 or 2 convict bodies available for medical autopsy each year. It was only after the 16th century that human dissection was finally opened up. As cadavers were strictly limited, the supply of cadavers needed for medical autopsies was therefore insufficient. Finally, this caused riots and theft of cadavers by doctors and even theft of graves. In the United States, in 1818, New York and New England, and in 1820, Maine, there was a specific legislation against grave robbery. After the modern era, both considerations of physical punishment of body partition and the revitalization of medical science coexisted. The earliest autopsy law in the United States, that of New York, was established in 1789. By 1890s, U.S. congressional legislation and New Jersey anatomy laws followed. Historians have analyzed that medical anatomy lecture in the United States flourished in 1850s, and that the lack of sources for autopsies led to exhumations and theft of bodies. New York's autopsy law was born in this context: the need to prevent medical students from studying in Europe as a sign of American patriotism, and the need for medical students to do their own autopsy to improve their skills. All required large numbers of cadavers. Thus, after the execution of a felon, the judge could order the body to be transferred to the medical school. At the same time, popular opposition to autopsies persisted, and in extreme cases, a confrontation between popular consciousness and the law occurred. I'm sure you are wondering if the profession of forensic medicine is more psychologically strictful than other professions. Actually not. Many forensic physicians are largely streak-free when examining ordinary corpses, especially when the case is clear. Their psychological pressure comes from the fact that they are fully committed to the autopsy and investigation work in order to find evidence to help the criminal investigators solve the case as soon as possible and to give an explanation to the victim, his family, society, and themselves. It also comes from the possibility of dangerous bodies and sites, such as AIDS and other infectious diseases. To finish this talk, I'm going to recommend a Japanese drama called Unnatural. Have you ever seen it? It's my favorite drama. It is about a forensic physician who dissects the bodies of people who have died of a natural cause at the laboratory called New Unnatural Death Investigation. Miki Misumi, who works at this laboratory, is an autopsy doctor who specializes in investigating the cause of death. What she doesn't tolerate is the lack of attention to unnatural death. In her opinion, there must be something behind the unnatural that needs to be investigated by a forensic doctor, such as a fake murder, a medical error, an unknown and difficult disease. However, in Japan, many unnatural deaths are cremated without an autopsy. And so, together with her distinctive colleagues, Misumi challenged this reality.